So the first thing that I've noted down is um, who are you? Where are you from? And general intro. Um,
Mhm,
so, I mean, I guess I could start with me. Very easy.
mhm.
You know me. We're longtime friends, but my name is Blake, and I go by Azorion. Um, and I currently live in Spokane, Washington. Um, and prior to that, I lived in Cheney, which is close by. And then prior to that, Walla Walla, which is south of where I'm at currently. And prior to that, I was in where you're at, roughly, in Idaho. So that is basically who I am. What about you? Who are you? I don't know you.
Well, to everyone who might watch this, my name is Nick. I go by TheSynfulOne on Twitch and pretty much everywhere. Anywhere, any game or platform that I decide to indulge in, that's usually the name that I go with, as long as it's not taken, which it usually isn't. As far as like the where are you from sort of stuff, currently I live in northern Idaho. I'm not going to disclose specifics because it's a pretty small town. I don't want to put that information out there. Um, but roughly an hour away from Spokane. Um, but yeah, aside from that, I've kind of moved around a lot recently in the area. And I'm kind of just trying to figure my shit out right now.
I heard your previous landlord was a total asshole. Um,
Oh yeah, he was a dick.
yeah, like awful person. Like he grew a beard and um, he had a girlfriend, and you know he just like totally was
Yeah,
super unhelpful and everything.
he's from what I understand, he's on this weird like Viking kick where he like thinks he's a Viking. It's kind of weird.
I don't think I'm a Viking. I am a Viking.
Okay,
uh,
okay,
for
sorry.
for context, Nick and I used to live together, and circumstances made it to where he had to go where he is currently at, and I had to go my separate way as well. But we're still friends,
Mhm.
so um,
Yep, and he helped me a lot in my time of need. Very understanding, very awesome person just in general. That's just who Blake is, to be perfectly honest. Anyone who doesn't know. So off stream, on stream, the personality doesn't change except maybe being a little less PG in real life.
yeah, I don't know. I don't I have like how everyone kind of has their own perception of who they are. Um,
Hmm.
for example, you hear your voice on a video or I don't know, playback audio or something, and it just sounds terrible. You just
Hmm.
don't like it. Well, for me, when I see myself and think of myself, I think of, not to sound like conceited, but I think of a nice person who tries to do the right thing in most basically every scenario. Um, but I'm kind of boring. Uh, until I'm not, and it's just like it's like extreme peaks of like what the hell, this is really funny, and then everything else is like valley boring, like you wouldn't expect much. I'm just like reading a book or something. Like it's
Yeah.
kind of like polar opposite. Like that's how I don't know if that's actually true, but when I think of myself, that's
Um. I mean, I wouldn't say boring. I would say I don't know of like
like
a nice way to put it. You
low
like
energy maybe.
not necessarily because you're fairly high energy most of the time. It's just more of like you have your bubble and you don't like to step out of that bubble. But there are occasions when you do. Like you know what you like, you know what you'll enjoy, and you kind of stay within that. And if you step out, it's never like an extreme step. You know what I mean? Like you're not just gonna one day up and be like, "Let's go fucking skydiving," right? But at the same time, it's also one of the things where it's like oh, a new game came out. I'm fucking excited for that. Let's do
Hmm. I have a story for you, Nick, and it involves skydiving.
that.
Okay. Well,
On a real note, though, talking about like stepping out of comfort zones, I don't know if you remember, but back in high school, they like paid for us to go up to Schweitzer
yeah.
and like
hmm
snowboard and ski and stuff.
I have
And
a.
even though
Sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, and even though I did not do well that on either of the trips I went in, because I got to go twice. Um, I have had the urge to go back up and do that if I ever got the money, but at the same time, there's so much other stuff that I would rather spend that money on. I know it's never gonna happen.
Sure. Sure. I don't know what the rates are, but if they're reasonable, um, I could totally see myself doing that again. Um,
Mhm.
I have one fond memory. Well, actually, not one. I have a few. I have a few fond memories of going to Schweitzer. For those of you who aren't aware, in northern Idaho, there is a ski resort called Schweitzer Mountain, I believe, where you can snowboard, ski, and all the locals love it. Um, I actually used to live at the base of
Not
that.
just the locals too.
Yeah, lots of
Um,
people travel to come here because
yeah,
it's one of the biggest like ones in the country, isn't it? Like top three or something.
I believe so. At least on like, I don't know about size, like scale, but I do know it's one of the most visited. And of course, since we're so close to the border, we even have people coming down from Canada to
Right.
visit. We have people coming from Montana. We have people coming from, two, three states over. There's even been people from Colorado where, a ton of ski and snowboard resorts are. So
Right.
it's kind of a big deal.
Well, um, I can write it down, or we could just talk about it now because this whole thing is kind of meant to be a for fun, easy conversation. Haha.
Yeah.
But uh, so my fond memories include two major things. One, um, being on the little like kitty tutorial like hill thing and not
Hmm.
straying very far from that at all.
Yep.
And I remember on the side there were these like I don't know handles you could grab and it was on a track and you could like hold onto it. It would pull you up. It was really simple, really. So that was like the general memory, first memory. My second memory was slightly beyond that. I went so fast, and long story short, I was on a snowboard. I was going very fast, and I needed to stop. So I turned my snowboard, um, kind of
Like sideways.
like side like I want to use the word parallel, but that doesn't sound completely right. Anyway,
No, no, no.
sideways,
Perpendicular.
perpendicular, yes, and to stop myself, and it worked for like zero point zero 0.01 seconds, and then the momentum of my upper half, I fell face first into the snow. And that's not even the worst part. The worst part was it was like 5 feet in front of the crush I had at the time and her dad. And her dad helped me up. And I'm sure she never forgot about it, at least, within a quick vicinity of time. Maybe she did because she was young, but regardless, my memories are just me like being a noob and failing. So I don't know.
You're
Do you have any fond memories of being in Schweitzer?
I w- I was gonna say, I have, for anyone who doesn't know, I have an absolutely god awful memory. So for me to remember basically anything, is kind of a miracle. Um, but I remember the two times I went, I did the exact same thing. I never left that Kitty Hill thing,
hmm
that you're talking about. Two, I made it to the bottom a total of one time. And three, both times I went, I did the exact same thing you're talking about, but instead of face planting the snow, I did a full on somersault and felt like I broke my neck. But
Was it in front of anyone?
Nobody that mattered at the
Okay,
time.
right. Okay.
But the other thing that I remember about Schweitzer that I one of the reasons I want to go back, and this is no joke, they had a lounge slash like cafe area where you could just kind of rest and get food and stuff like that. And they had hot chocolate, and my God, that is literally the best hot chocolate I have ever had. And I want to go back just to have the hot chocolate again.
Boy, wouldn't you feel silly if you got there and it was like your memory failed you again and it was just
You
terrible.
know, it's it's absolutely something that could happen, not gonna lie.
Fair, fair. Okay. Oh man, Schweitzer. Okay. For those of you who care, I mean, most people who are watching this probably have access to Google, so you could just.
Yeah.
To be fair, Schweitzer is kind of hard to spell. I don't even know how to spell it. It's like
S
SCHW.
C H yeah, SCHWEITZER.
Okay. Well, assuming he spelled that correctly, you could type that into Google and find out where it's at. But
I
it's
mean, I'll
it's
double check real quick.
yeah,
I can pull it up.
it's
Yeah,
in.
SCHWEITZER.
Okay, fair enough.
And there should not be. I'll double check, but yeah, the literally the first thing that comes up is Schweitzer Mountain Resort. So,
I've never
yeah,
heard of any other Schweitzer in any context whatsoever. So
no, not gonna lie, the way it's spelled comes off as like German, so I was half expecting something that's like German to pop up, but never heard anything else in like the US that would go by that. So
sure, sure. I guess the next question. So what are your current goals for content in general? We're both basically brand new. I did a very very short stint a few years back where I made a little bit of content and I posted it on YouTube. Um, some parts of it, not very much. But then I went to school, and my girlfriend came to live with me, and now I work full time in my career. Um, so my I guess what I'm getting at is my life is a lot different than it was 2 or more years ago. For the better, probably, but for the most part. Um, so anyway, when I think of goals for content, back then versus now for me personally, um, they can change. So I guess like what are your thoughts? How do you feel for the scenario? I could always answer for myself after the fact.
sure. So current goals for content, honestly, I'm focusing on Twitch mainly. Um, I'm kind of been exploring some stuff that either it's kind of hard to say. So I guess the biggest thing for me is that I want to build a community. I want to be able to communicate with people that hop into my stream, whether they're there for 5 minutes or 5 hours. Um, and that's actually the whole reason I started streaming is because I was watching, um, another person's stream, and it was they were not really interacting with the audience as much. They're kind of having a hard time reading chat and focusing on the game and everything. So I hopped in and just started uh, talking to the chat, and I kind of did that for a few of their streams, and it was like I was talking for them essentially, but as myself, obviously. And I really liked that interaction, so I wanted to keep that going. And that's honestly what I want to focus on right now is just building up a community of people who enjoy me and what I have to say, what I have to offer, and don't really like. Obviously, the game is important and what you're doing is important and things like that, but I want people to be able to come for me and not just the game that I'm playing. You know, if they get there because they like the game I'm playing, cool, great. But I would hope they would stay because they like who I am and the content that I can provide, not the content that the game can provide. Because I don't think you are a good content creator if people are coming to solely watch the game. You know what I mean? Like my favorite streamers, I go and watch because I like the streamer.
Hmm.
You know, I can go and watch anybody play that video game, and somebody's probably better at that video game than that streamer that I like is. But I go and watch that streamer because I like who they are. I like the content that they provide, like by being the person they are being. But I kind of got off topic. I'm sorry. The My goals for content right now are to just build a community, play the games that I want to play, whether you know they're popular or not. And I do eventually want to figure out YouTube stuff so I can start uploading some stuff from there. Probably just at first, it would be just cut stuff from the stream. Eventually, probably have dedicated stuff. And then I want to get social media stuff going as well. It's just a process of getting it all figured out. I need to find
Yeah,
good video editing software. I need to make sure all my socials are in order, make sure they're not all linked to the same email and shit so that everything's secure and all that. But honestly, I'm just sort of focusing on Twitch right now.
sure.
YouTube will come later, and yeah, I think that's just my pace right now. Especially with my internet the way it is, I probably couldn't upload videos on a basis that I would want to anyways. So it's probably best that I hold off on that
Well,
for the time being, anyway.
sure. Um, yeah, uploading can take some time, no matter what internet you have. But
Hmm.
um,
Have
creating
I
create
told you my speeds?
I if you have, I forgot them. I know they're not. I know they're below mine because I have a gig. Lucky me. So
um, yeah. So last time here, I'll do a quick speed test for you on the PC. Um, they are god awful. But current plan is to get some stuff together as far as financials are. That's kind of why I'm in the position that I'm in, and be able to kind of get back on my feet. And once that happens, I can go from there, get better internet, and set all this up. It seems like the situation has been either I don't have a computer good enough to stream or do what I want to do, or I don't have internet good enough to stream or do what I want to do. Um, in the quality that I would prefer.
sure,
So the internet speed test that I just did, my ping is 31, so that's good. And that's always good.
that's fine. Yeah.
Download is 18.25, and upload is a solid 1 megabit per second.
Dang. Yeah. You'll definitely have to upload overnight when you do. The good news is
Mhm.
the hardest part about making videos for YouTube specifically is all the um how do you put it, processing that you do on your computer. And once you have the final package, you just do the one upload. It's not a more rigorous than that. So
Mhm.
even if they're longer videos, I'm sure like overnight or over a few nights, if it's a really long video, it'd be fine. So okay, getting back to your original answer about goals for content, is that
Yeah.
you mentioned that you want people to come to basically support you as a person rather than the game that you happen to be playing at that time, essentially.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. I don't really mind if people come for the game, but I would like it if I can provide enough content by being who I am, and they enjoy me for me, that it's not the game that keeps them there or keeps them coming back. You know what I mean?
Sure. So I guess that point is what leads to my next question, which is, like, what or rather, are you willing to, um, not willing to, geez, how do I want to say it? if you notice that a game you want to play is really, really intense, like you have to focus really hard for, I mean, like a long period of time. Say you're playing like, I don't know, a round of Valorant or something where you're like super focused every round. You can get to people here and there in between the rounds, but for the most part you're all focused. Um, and you kind of internalize that. Would that deter you from streaming that again, knowing that you are a little disconnected from your base? Would that make you consider going from, say, for example, Valorant to like, I don't know, Slay the Spire or some other casual game where it's really easy to keep up with the chat?
Um, it really depends. So for example, Valorant has its down moments. For instance, if you die, you're dead for that entire round
Yep.
until the next round starts. So if I'm on my game and I'm just, back after back, not dying, minimal dying, whatever, and I have people in my chat who are, trying to interact and I'm not able to, that's probably going to get to me a little bit. Obviously, as like a channel grows and stuff like that, you're going to have more people chatting. You're not going to be able to respond to everybody. It's just it's not reasonable to ask anyone to do that. Um, but at the same time, if, for instance, um, I think at the current moment that we are talking, I have 25 or 26 followers, one of the two. If all of them were to watch me stream and I was playing something like Valorant, I would feel not obligated, but I would feel bad if if every single one of them was chatting and I could not answer or respond to people. I would hope that the community that I have built up so far would realize that it is a kind of intensive game and save any sort of questions or anything like that until I am able to answer. And, a lot of times with the bigger streams, you see people talking back and forth to each other. They're not really talking to the streamer, you know. I would hope that they would understand that and kind of talk amongst themselves until I'm at like the main menu or I'm dead for a round or whatever.
Mm,
I would hope that would happen, but um, to answer your question, yeah, that would definitely be a factor. I would be more inclined to play something that's a little more relaxing as opposed to something that is super intensive in a situation like that.
sure. Sure. Okay. Cool. Good to know. I mean, yeah, you're convincing the people watching this. I already know that yeah, you're that kind of person. You like to be sociable, which is kind of leads to my answer, which is essentially the same thing, really, for goals with content. Is honestly, I just like talking to people. I've always kind of been that way. I've always been kind of sociable. Um, and playing games is fun, but play games by yourself enough, and you'll realize games aren't so fun. But if you're around friends, no matter what you're playing, it's usually a good time. So for essentially the same reason, like I would want people to come to say hi to me, talk to me, and me reply to them, um, rather than focus too hard on having like a main like one specific thing. I'm the best at X game or whatever else, and people watch because of the skill rather than who you are. I mean, there's a place for that, but it's not for me. So
Hmm.
in the past, when I was making content a little bit more, I what I would do is play single player games for the first time, and some people seem to like that because they get to watch games that they love, that they've played through already through the eyes of someone who's never done it. So I can and I can relate to that. I do this. I lurk for some channels for the same idea. So honestly, that combined with the fact that when I'm by my, ironically, I don't know if it's ironic, but anyway, when I'm by myself and I play games by myself, they're usually multiplayer games because of that exact same reason. I like to chat. I like to be in an environment where other people are involved, whether it's competitive or not. It could be casual, it could be competitive. Usually it's competitive, but that's beside the point. So, and I know there's a lot of single player games I've missed out on. So for me, that's kind of um, what you would expect to see if you were to come see me, is me playing either old or new single player games and trying to stick with the chat. So that's just me. As for like the socials and the YouTube and all that, I once again back a couple years ago back, I made all those things. They don't really have any traction right now, as we're talking, but they exist already. So I don't have to worry too hard. I'm just now learning how to piece very basic video editing, which I'm trying to learn a little bit while I have some time off from work. So it's kind of fun.
Yeah, I need to try and delve a little deeper into that. It's not going to be a while till I get any sort of YouTube stuff up and going, but it's something I definitely need to look into. Also, I wanna jump back real quick because I actually just remembered something that uh,
Sure.
kind of is kind of what triggered the whole opinion that I have of like wanting to build that community and um, be able to just play whatever
Mm,
instead of just playing what everybody wants to see.
sure.
Um, I was in a streamers chat recently, and he he's okay at managing his chat. Like he'll miss some messages because he's focusing on the game or whatever. It happens, not a big deal.
Mhm.
But we were talking about how it somehow came up that he has a fear of the ocean. And it's a pretty common thing. A lot of people are scared of like the mysteries of the ocean and
Sure.
such.
Sure.
And so I was kind of poking fun at that, and I was like, "Hey, you should play Subnautica." He's like, "No, I know too much about Subnautica to have any sort of scares from it or anything like that." I'm like, that's fair. That's fair. And then I was thinking about it, and I was like, "You should play Bioshock." And because for anyone who has not played Bioshock, Bioshock is fucking amazing. Takes place under the ocean. It's this city called Rapture, where it's supposed to be this sort of Garden of Eden style place, where the laws and everything like that from the surface don't apply. Um, and they have their own sort of system and how things work down there. Um,
Just a fair warning. Don't mean to cut you off. Your video is very in and out, so
oh,
for viewers,
prob
yeah, it's not you. It's
probably the
okay. There you go.
the internet.
You're good now. Go ahead.
Okay. Um. Anyways, so back on point. I was like, you should play Bioshock, and he's like, I've heard of Bioshock. I've never played it. I don't know anything about it. And I'm like, that is perfect. Play Bioshock. I will watch the entire playthrough of that because it has been so long since I have seen someone who has not played Bioshock play that game.
Sure.
And it is always, always fun to watch someone on their first playthrough of Bioshock. The twists, the atmosphere, the
Yeah, it's a great
the
game.
random stuff that you find around the corners, everything about it. It is such a good game. Um, and his answer was something along the lines of, but nobody's going to watch me. It's not a AAA game. I'm not going to, I will get no views. And I was like, kind of sitting there thinking about it. And while I understand where he's coming from, he's also talking about streaming Cyberpunk when it comes out. And for me, I love, but I obviously I'm excited for Cyberpunk. I think it's going to be a fantastic game. I can't wait to play it if I get a chance to play it sometime soon. Awesome, right? But at the same time, there is a part of me that was really saddened by that answer. The fact that he doesn't want to go back and play a game because he doesn't think anybody's going to watch him. or he doesn't think he's going to get any views. And I
Sure.
understand that that's some people's concept on it, is they just want to play what's popular because people are going to jump on that train and give him views. That's understandable. But at the same time, you're foregoing a positive experience, and a lot of something that a lot of people don't understand when you stream AAA games is that, for instance, Cyberpunk is going to be a perfect example. Everyone and their mother is going to be streaming Cyberpunk. You think you're going to get any views over the top streamers on the Twitch platform? Everybody has their favorite streamer that they're going to be playing, that they're going to be watching play, or they're going to be playing themselves. Nobody's going to scroll through thousands of people playing a game just to get to you because you're a smaller streamer. And if they do go all the way down there, the chances of them clicking on you as opposed to everyone else who has 3 or 4 viewers is slim to none.
Sure.
And that's just to be perfectly honest. You know what I mean? Like,
I can
again, top streamers are going to be playing that game, and most people are just going to click on, whoever's in the first row. They're
sh-
going to click on a name they recognize
for sure, for
for the
sure.
most part.
Yeah, yeah, I could see that. Um, yeah, I mean, I don't fault. I mean, based on what I'm hearing, I don't fault the
Mhm.
streamer you're watching for not wanting to play
No.
it, because if it's not their cup of tea, or they don't know very much about it, but they know just enough to where they know the atmosphere isn't for them because they have a fear or a phobia, or
Well,
or
one. I'm sorry to cut you off, but one thing I do want to clarify is that nowhere in his explanation did he say, "I don't want to play it." He said his answer was, um, more or less, there's bigger games coming out that I want to stream because I'll get views. That was his answer, essentially. He never said he didn't want to play it. He never said he was scared of it. He honestly, I feel like if the gaming market was like completely dead and there was no big games coming out or anything, he would have been more inclined to do it.
hmm,
Um, but
well,
just with like Cyberpunk and some of the other stuff coming out, it made it seem his answer made it seem as though this is a AAA game. I'm gonna get more views for it, so I'm gonna do that instead.
sure. Uh, yeah, I don't know.
Which I don't fault him for, by the way. I don't fault him for that at all. But it kind of makes me sad that a lot of people nowadays are going more towards what's going to get them views as opposed to um, something that they might enjoy instead.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that kind of goes. It's kind of related to what I was saying, which is, I don't fault him for not wanting to visit something he might have enough information on to know he wouldn't enjoy it. Of course, he would never know until he tried it, but still.
Mhm.
And plus, there's also like the other side of the coin where, Twitch chat, very commonly to streamers will say you should play X, and they all have their own X that they suggest, and it's like there's only one streamer, and maybe he has personal goals, which, um, I'm not saying you should have a goal that you know disconnects you from your audience, but at the same time, you can still have goals like, hey, I want to beat this game that I've never played before, new or old, within 2 days or something. I don't know, whatever. That's his personal goal he wants to do on stream.
Mhm.
That's just an arbitrary thing I made up. Um, he's free to uh, what do you call it? Chase that.
Mhm.
He's not obligated to try the suggestion, I guess is what I'm getting at. But
Yeah, no,
that
not at
that
all.
that being said, the part where it's very clear that um, he only wanted the viewers from the new game. Yeah, that does sound pretty sad. I think ultimately, um, having a connection with your audience and then at simultaneously having fun with what you're doing, so that they have fun watching you, is also important. So, I mean,
Mhm.
I don't know. Who knows where he's at now? Maybe he's hitting off. Maybe he's not. I don't know who you're talking about, so the world will never know.
You wouldn't know. He's fairly small. I think he just hit affiliate. I was put onto him from someone else, and I've only watched a couple of his streams. So it's just that conversation with him kind of ticked a box in my head
Sure.
where, um, kind of going back to the whole content situation, it kind of ticked a box, and I was like, I don't want to be that way. I don't want to play a game just for the views. If I happen to play a AAA game that everybody else is playing, like if I have the chance to stream Cyberpunk, of course I'm going to stream Cyberpunk. It looks like it's going to be a fucking awesome game, you know? But at the same time, if someone comes along and says, "Hey, I have this really really good game that you should play," or I get my hands on a game that I've been wanting to play for years and just haven't had a chance to, um, yeah, I'm gonna stream that if I feel like I want to do that more.
Sure.
I want it to be more about what I want and what I think can be entertaining to myself, and then I can just bring the community that I built and the new viewers and everything like that along for the ride with me. That's my goal.
Sure. Um, I mean, I played going back to the example that you wanted to watch him. I played Biofrost. I'm thinking of the wrong name. I played Bioshock on stream and it was a blast. So,
Yeah.
if you haven't played it and you don't have a phobia of the idea of being underwater for like a little bit, it's a great game. So try it out.
Even if you do and you can overcome it just enough to play it as a game, just tell yourself it's not real and all that sort of stuff. Fantastic game. If you do have a fear of the ocean and all that sort of stuff, play Bioshock Infinite instead. There's a little bit of ocean, but
The ocean is
I'm not gonna.
the
It,
ocean
it's
part is DLC. I'm pretty sure.
uh no, you go into the ocean a little bit in the base game, but
Do
it's
you? I don't recall that.
mm, yeah, it's spoiler alert to anybody who might be considering watching Bioshock or playing Bioshock Infinite. It's near the end.
Okay.
You revisit some of that stuff. I don't actually think you go underwater at all, but there is like
Sure.
I'm trying not to get too specific,
Yeah, yeah.
but
No, no, that's okay. I don't
there
recall
are
it,
portions.
but I'll just leave it at
Yeah,
that.
you don't ever go underwater or anything like that, but there is ocean elements at play, and it's supposed to tie into the rest of the series because it sort of stands out from the other two. Um, but you don't actually go underwater. You are correct. The DLC takes you back to Rapture, but the base game sort of harkens back to it without fully going back to it.
Fair.
And I
Hmm.
only know that because I replayed Infinite pretty recently. So
Oh, really? Like how recently?
I want to say like 6 or 7 months ago, roughly.
Oh, dang. Okay, that is pretty recent.
Yeah, yeah.
I love the lore in that game. It's so good.
Oh yeah.
Okay,
All the games have great storytelling.
sure. Okay, let's move on from the from
Yeah.
from that. Um, so I mean, I guess we don't really have to stick on track. There's nothing like particularly imperative I ask. I guess
No,
I
but
guess
it's nice to have like a guideline.
yeah. The next thing that was on the list was to ask about um games or expansions to games that um are either about to come out or maybe just has come out or just have come out that you're interested in. And I guess why? You know, what are some of your interests? You know, let's let the viewers know. For me personally, there were a few things I was looking forward to. So, um, Valhalla, Assassin's Creed Valhalla just came out. Like like a week ago, maybe roughly. Um, and I've been having a blast with it. It's super fun. It's my first Assassin's Creed game. Um, let's see. So that was that one. I also play League of Legends, and though it's not really a game, there was a major patch that came out to kick off the new year, the new season, and it quite drastically changed the items that exist within the game, which essentially changes the game altogether, really, because they're so imperative to how characters, uh, have power throughout the time you're actually in game. So that was really cool. I guess I guess everyone's kind of looking forward to Cyberpunk 2077. I think that's going to be a great game as well. I'm going to definitely enjoy playing that. Whether it's as it comes out or years later and I buy it on sale, who knows? I'm sure I'll play it though. Um, I'm actually looking forward to I think one of the ones that we don't really have a lot of details on yet, but we know is coming out is the next Souls game, Elden Ring. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it is about the Souls games, but they just play and feel so like epic and uh rewarding in everything you do. Every attack, every defend, every like I don't know, it's just everything you do. It has to be very mindful uh to survive, really, and I think that's really cool. So I'm hoping that Elden Ring will kind of essentially take what works and just add upon it with great graphics and some unique things to the lore of that game, but doesn't change so drastically that those core things that I like are gone. But it's too early to tell. We don't know. We have like a teaser like from a year or two ago, um, and
Yeah.
we haven't heard anything since. So
Uh, no, actually, it's kind of funny that you mentioned that because there was actually just a recent post from someone. Uh, I'm not. It's an official source. I just don't know the exact source, but it's literally just a like screenshot of one of the characters that I guess that's going to be in the game, and it's confirmation that it's still in the works because it's been so long since anybody's heard anything about it. People were worried that it got canceled without anybody saying anything or anything like that. So an official source came out and was like, "Yes, it's still in production. We are still working on it. Thanks for being patient."
sure, sure. That
So,
that's
but and that was fairly recently though. That was like maybe a couple weeks ago.
okay. I'll have to check it out because
Yeah.
I didn't happen to see it, and I'm often seeing those types of news. So interesting. Okay, well I mean that's me. Those are things I'm kind of currently invested in and looking forward to. And things can always
Hmm.
change, but how about you? I honestly haven't spoken with you for the past like week or so. What have you been up to? What are you looking forward to?
Um. So the obvious thing for me to say right now would be Beyond Light, Destiny 2's expansion. I've been having a blast going through it. The content has been they've done it in a different way this time, where they're kind of slow dripping the content to people instead of just giving it all out and saying, "Here you go, have fun, blaze through this in a week and be done with it for the rest of the season." They're sort of slow dripping it out. So the new quests are coming out. The raid came out 2 days ago. Um, there was a bunch of people who got 24-hour completions and all that sort of stuff, but they've been sort of dripping the content out. So when people beat the raid, there was like 3 new quests that got unlocked. Um, so that's kind of cool. And then next reset, which will be um, 12 hours from now, 11 hours from now, there's going to be new seasonal stuff as well to have people embark on, all that sort of stuff. But I always enjoy new Destiny content, even back with the DLCs that people despised. Curse of Osiris. There are. I always have fun with it. more Destiny is always good Destiny to me. There's not a lot they can do to change my opinion of that. I just enjoy Destiny.
You just
That's
you just
that's just how it is.
sure.
Um, Aside from that, the games that I've been kind of excited for, I've had my eye on a few, but the ones that kind of stand out are, um, some are out already, and I just haven't had a chance to play them, and some are still coming out. So I think the biggest one and the most obvious one is Cyberpunk 2077.
Sure.
I absolutely want to play that game. It looks like a ton of fun. They've been releasing new footage for it. I can't wait till I can actually get my hands on it. That's going to be a ton of fun. Baldur's Gate 3 is another big one that I want to get my hands on. I want to play some multiplayer on that, but I'm excited that they have single player option as well, so I can kind of play it whenever I want, whether people are on to play or not. Aside from that, there's two other games that I believe they're both out already. One is called Ghost Runner,
Okay.
and it's kind of like a platformer in a way. Think of it like Mirror's Edge, but you're a badass ninja. So like Mirror's Edge, it has the whole free running concept,
Sure.
and the whole point is to stay away from enemies that will do you harm. They have guns, you don't. In this scenario, the enemies have guns. You have a sword. You can dash in the air. You can wall run. You can dash midair. You can do it forward, backwards, side to side, that sort of stuff to avoid enemy fire. And you just have to try and close the gap and kill them. There's obviously more elements than that, but that's the basic gameplay loop. Sometimes there's protective shields on them that need to be disabled by going to like a battery station and removing the power source or whatever, and then you can go kill the guy. Sometimes there's aspects where you have to slow down time by using a certain power up. I've watched a little bit of the gameplay. It looks like a ton of fun. I love Mirror's Edge, and it reminds me so much of Mirror's Edge that it yeah, it really looks like a ton of fun.
Cool. I haven't
And
heard
then
of
the
it.
other,
I haven't heard of it personally.
yeah. It kind of flew under the radar. It had like a really badass trailer at E3 a few years ago, I think. And it kind of flew under everybody's radar, but it looks like a lot of fun. And then I lied. There's two more. I definitely want to play Ghost of Tsushima.
Ah,
That game looks like a ton of fun,
sure.
and I really want to play it. But the last game, and I've been saving this one because I'm really excited about it, is a puzzle game that I love puzzle games, and it's not very often that a puzzle game comes out that like grabs my attention like this one. But there is a game called Superliminal.
Super what?
Um, Superliminal.
Superliminal.
Yes.
Okay.
Like subliminal, but superliminal.
Okay. Okay. Fair enough.
So, but the whole concept is that you can pick up an object, and you know how like let's say you're like three-story in a three-story building, and you're at the very top, and you look down on someone, and you put their head between your fingers, and you go, and you crush their head like a grape, right?
Yeah, like you're pretending.
Because because the perspective is
Sure.
like they're tiny, you're big. That is the entire point of the game. So for an example, you can grab a chess piece off of a chessboard, and then you put it up to the ceiling, right? And depending on how high the ceiling is, it can make it look like that chess piece is just as big as the entirety of the ceiling, right?
Sure. If you get it really close to your eye.
Let's Yeah, if you get it really close to your eye, or the ceiling is just far away, right?
Sure.
Now, in game, let's say you grab that chess piece, you put it up to the ceiling, and it looks like it's covering the whole ceiling, and then you let go of that chess piece, it will fall to the ground and be just as big as that perspective allowed it to be.
Dang. So it goes. You can go the opposite way too, right? You can make really big things
Yeah,
small.
yeah. So let's say you have that chess piece and it's now this giant chess piece, and you pick it up and you push it against a wall so that it looks tiny. It's tiny again as soon as you let go.
Uh, that sounds interesting. I actually would be interested in
Mhm.
that because I
Yes.
I, I
Mhm.
also enjoy a good puzzling game. There's
I was actually
sorry, go ahead.
sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, um,
I was just going
wow.
to.
Okay,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
there's definitely some delay here. Okay. You already know that I have this opinion, but a lot of games are um rehashed, and there's so much rehashing going on that it's really hard to enjoy some games um, because they're just so stereotypical, so straightforward. It's like if you play shooter, like I mean, Call of Duty is a great example of this. I enjoy playing Call of Duty here and there, um, but once you've played one, you've played them all essentially, really. And
Mhm.
there's not really, uh, unless you're feeling the itch to play exactly that, there's no real point other than to keep on board with the player base to get the new ones. And that's kind of how I feel about games. And puzzle games are kind of unique where they don't always follow that same structure because for it to be a good puzzle game, they need to be unique, interesting puzzles, right? So
Mhm.
that's why I enjoy them. Anyway, you had a point before I
Uh,
interrupted you so forcefully.
no, 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 no. My whole thing was just that I was actually watching because Markiplier played through, I think, the entirety of the game actually, um, and it is. I was actually going to send it to you and have you watch the first like 15 minutes because I looked at this like not only as like a very interesting, unique concept where perspective actually matters and sort of that sort of stuff, but I also looked at it and I was like, what the hell is going on in the background with the coding? Because it does not feel as though it would be like easy to make a game like this. You know what I mean? Where everything is just perspective based.
From a like a coding perspective, like how would you actually
Yeah,
code the game?
yeah.
Oh, I
Because
see.
like because like to me when you make like an object in a game for instance, you have set parameters on like this object is this size. And of course you can change that depending on like what happens to it and
Yeah,
such.
like
But
make it big, make it small, like
right, but usually there's something doing that. Like for instance, if I'm playing an MMO and I cast like polymorph or shrink or something like that, like obviously it's just okay, change these parameters to these parameters and now it's smaller or it's bigger or it's a different object or whatever, right? But to do it based on perspective seems incredibly difficult to me.
sure. Um, for
Which
the
I could be wrong,
for
but
for those of you who don't know, my career of choice is a programmer, I guess. Technically software engineer. Um, and that's why Nick is kind of asking this question in this way.
yeah.
So I don't know without looking at it, like trying to look at the problem more closely. But
Hmm.
if I were to guess, similar to how in a MMO you cast polymorph or shrink or whatever, you're providing input to the game that does a thing, which is make the object smaller or bigger, right? It changes it. Whereas with the perspective game, what's probably happening is you're having multiple inputs. It's probably like your perspective combined with, or rather, like the distance of the object from you in comparison to what's in the background or something along those lines, and then it goes through some like resizing that's so fast you don't see it happen once you move the camera again. It's probably something like that, but I don't know. Sounds like an interesting problem. But regardless,
Yeah.
that's just like my first pass like thoughts on it. It's probably something that's big picture wise kind of straightforward, but maybe not. I don't know. Um,
I don't know if you'd want to bring it up, but I did send you the Steam store page. There you could, if you wanted to, for viewers or anything like that who might want to know what we're talking about or anything like that, you could play a little bit of that first video there. Up to you, of course.
I think
Just a thought.
I think we'll leave it to the audience to do it themselves, just because, um, well, quite honestly, I don't have it set up to easily share that. So,
Hmm,
um,
fair enough.
yeah. Anyway, so but I mean, the concept sounds good. I'll definitely have to check it
Mhm.
out. Um, so okay. Well, I mean, we are just a few minutes away from hitting the hour mark. I
Damn, really?
Yeah, it's already been an hour. It's crazy. Goes by fast.
All
Um,
right.
that doesn't mean we have to stop right away. It just means that we're an hour in. So, uh, I guess the questions that I have are okay. Okay, so I'll let you answer first because I answered first last time. Gosh, I
Sure.
uh, so what are your top three games of all time? Like, what are the games that you would like? You love them so much you would not mind streaming them, for example. Um, I mean, that's kind of a weird like thing to tack onto the end of the question, but essentially, what are your maybe you wouldn't stream it because like it's no longer feasible or something. But regardless, what are your top three games of all time, and what made you like enjoy them so much? And if it's not three, it's like two, or if it's four, like that's fine. Just in general,
Right.
yeah. Top games of all time.
Um, I've actually thought about this quite a bit recently. Um, and it's kind of hard for me to pick favorites just because I enjoy games for different reasons. You know, like if I were to compare like Portal and like Skyrim, for instance, like they're both amazing games, but they're amazing in different ways.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So it'd be kind of hard for me to put one over the other. Um, However, that being said, my all-time favorite game, uh, by a pretty sizable margin, is Bioshock. 100%.
Dang. Okay. I
Um,
didn't know it was that good.
every Yeah, no, everything about that game just hits so well for me. Um, the atmosphere, the storytelling, the plot twists, the pulling on emotional heartstrings, the fact that it's adventuring and storytelling like is fantastic. Just the way it puts itself together is amazing. It is by far one of the best games I've played, and um, it's one of the very few games that I have gone back and played through a second time. Because when I play a game, I typically don't go back and play it because unless it's got like multiple endings or the story is so diverse in its branching storytelling that you can get a completely different game the second time around.
Sure.
Because typically when I play a game, for instance, like Skyrim, I've done a couple playthroughs of Skyrim just to try out different builds, but it's really hard for me to do a second playthrough simply because I fall into the same um, play style again. So like the first time I played Skyrim, I did a build that was one-handed sword and then magic in the other. Uh, and it was really, really hard for me to do a second playthrough and not do that build again because I went into it purposely saying, okay, I'm going to be an archer because I want to be an archer. Um, it was really hard for me not to just go through and play the same way I was used to
Right.
because I was already used to it.
Right. Rely on how do you say it? Muscle memory, I guess, in a way.
Kinda, yeah.
Not actually muscle memory, but the same concept. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. But BioShock is one of those very few games that I've played through I think 3 times. Um, and I think I played through BioShock Infinite twice, and I played through BioShock 2 once. I think just once.
Sure.
But I want to go back and play through that again. But BioShock, hands down my favorite game ever. It's just fantastic.
Cool.
Aside from that, I don't really know. Portal's up there. There's a few others that are up there. Destiny is obviously up there. I always enjoy new Destiny content, no matter the state of the game or anything like
I
that.
was
It's one of those games where I can just put aside all the bullshit that people say about it, and all the. It's one of those games I can just sink a ton of time into because I enjoy it.
sure.
It's nothing that, like, when I play an MMO, for instance, a lot of the times like I get kind of nitpicky. I go, "Oh, well, I wish this system was this way instead." Or I wish mounts were this way instead. And I can get nitpicky. Destiny is one of those games where all that shit goes out the window because it feels good to play the game. It feels the progression is usually really good, for me at least. It's just all around a good game that I can sink a ton of time into, just in my opinion.
Sure.
So that'd probably be my number two, if I were to be honest. So Bioshock and then Destiny.
Sure, sure. I was gonna ask where's Destiny at? If you,
Yeah.
cause at first you started that saying you don't really know, and I'm like, do you not really? uh,
No, no,
that's
no. I think I'm somewhere. Hold on. This is another thing I want to look up just for the video's sake. So there is a website called Time Wasted on Destiny,
oh
where
boy.
you can
Uh,
put your username in, whether you're on Steam, PlayStation, Xbox, Stadia, whatever. You can put in your username, and it will give you all of your hours, kind of conglomerated. So, for example, um, so my cross save on Destiny 2 has 1,200 hours, and my cross save for the first Destiny has 500 roughly. So I have
a lot of time.
1,700 hours in the Destiny franchise, which uh, isn't a crazy amount, believe it or not, compared to some other people.
It's still a lot. Don't sell yourself short. You're
No,
still within the
yeah,
ecosystem.
yeah. So for just to put it in perspective, it also tells you like where you fall according to other players as well. For Destiny 2 alone, it says I'm in the top 10% of people.
Sure,
Um, so
that would make sense.
I yeah, I sink a lot of time into Destiny, and to be perfectly honest, I don't regret a single moment of that because I always have fun with Destiny. It's
Sure.
always a good time.
Cool, cool. I one of my coworkers, it drives him nuts. He used to love Star Wars, and ever since the most recent trilogy, his opinion has kind of changed. Because he's a very analytical, very no BS. How do I put it? Hard to please, I guess, in a way.
Okay,
If a plot hole exists, he's gonna attack it. That kind of guy. And
okay,
I'm the opposite. I'm really easy to please when it comes to media and games and stuff. Well, okay, that's not completely true. For movies and shows, I'm very easy to please, but with games,
yeah.
it depends on the game.
You can be very particular
I
and
can't
nitpicky when it
cer
comes to games.
certain games, yes, for sure. So
Yeah,
that's why I retracted what I said. But um, what I'm getting at is that feeling is what you have for Destiny. It's like even when they maybe do a thing that in general the community is not a fan of, you can at least like give Bungie slack and continue to enjoy the game,
yeah,
even in the worst case.
yeah. For example, Beyond Light has come out, and a quick Nick review. You can put that up in like Word art, Microsoft Word art. um, but quick Nick review for Beyond Light. The main story so far, like when you defeat the main bad guy, you also get like a little uh I don't know it's like a side story thing that happens after the campaign where you're basically like, okay, well now the big bad guy's dead, but now like there's someone else who wants to claim that position, blah blah blah. Um, the entirety of the main campaign of Beyond Light, I did not like. The concept was good enough. It gave us reason to acquire some of the powers we've gotten, everything like that. But it feels kind of patched together. It feels drawn out. It feels just fine.
Sure.
Doesn't feel great. Doesn't feel bad. It just feels fine. However, some of the content that they're dropping now, that like the raid is done, and some of the stuff that has been brought with the new destination involving stuff that we've known about but haven't really gotten fully exposed to until now as far as lore is concerned. The shit that they're doing behind the scenes aside from like Beyond Light, you know, Aramis is the big bad guy sort of stuff. The stuff that they're doing on the side is phenomenal. Absolutely amazing. Like, if they would have completely cut out the normal Beyond Light, like, this is the main bad guy, help me kill her sort of thing, I would have still bought in it because of all the side stuff.
Sure.
The lore and the storytelling for everything on the side is so good. I cannot believe they didn't make it the main thing and have the other stuff be a side story. It's so good. The writing is phenomenal. The voice acting is really really good. Everything about all the side stuff that's happening and the stuff they're dropping is just absolutely amazing.
Dang.
I'm loving it.
Cool. Uh, yeah. From what I know about Destiny 2, it sounds like on a whim in the future they can do a retrospective and realize that's the case, and possibly rework the campaign to take it out, make it a side mission, and make what you're talking about, some of the parts you're talking about, being the main campaign. So, I mean, who knows? They have the power. They're the game creators. Okay.
True.
Okay. So going back to the original question, like Destiny, Bioshock, are there any others that come to mind immediately, or is that kind of it really?
Um,
And it's
I mean,
and it's okay. It's okay if that's it. Those are the big
yeah,
ones.
there are certain games that kind of hold a special place in my heart. Um, but I'd I kind of uh hold back on calling them favorites because even though they hold that place to me, um, I can kind of step back and realize that it's more sentimental than anything. Um, for instance, I absolutely love Halo Reach. However, I don't know if I'd say it's like my favorite game or one of my favorite games because I know a lot of the reason I enjoy Halo Reach is because of the time that I spent in it with friends doing online and just sort of also equating that to like a period in my life where I was just enjoying where I was at essentially.
Right.
Um, so there are certain games like that that I objectively don't want to say are favorites.
Hmm.
But so I think my top two would absolutely be Bioshock and Destiny, and then everything under that I think would be more of like they're good games. I spent a lot of time in them, everything like that, and they 100% hold a special place in my heart. But at the same time, objectively, I don't want to say they're my favorites.
For sure. Okay. Um. Well, huh. I don't really approach it the same way. I don't mind listing them off. For the reasoning aside. So for me personally, I've played I've played a lot of games a little bit, and then a couple games a lot, kind of like you with Destiny. You're giving a
Mhm.
smirk because you already know. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I played a lot, and I mean a lot of RuneScape a long time ago. And I don't play it now. I haven't for pretty much years. I mean, I a year or so ago. I played for like a week just to kind of like see what was up. But I played RuneScape a whole lot, and I just that kind of goes back to our topic a little while ago where we're talking about. I just like the fact that I was online and being around people, combined with the world, you know, that RuneScape provides is interesting. It was the first exposure for me to a like medieval setting, which is very overplayed today, but very very good in the moment. It was fun to imagine the world and have actual people around, people to go to school with, and talk about the game. Um, seeing it on YouTube, it was a big deal when I was younger. So, and I know they still the game's still alive. It's actually doing quite well still, all things considered. Um, but unfortunately, it's such a time sink that I don't know if I could play it again and have fun. Just because I'm the type of person that if I am going to play a game long term, I want to play it long term and really really good. But just the fact that who knows when I'm going to be a father. I'm not saying I'm going to be a father soon, but like that could happen anytime. Um, I have a career now. I have my girlfriend living with me. Like obligations exist that didn't used to exist. Like sure you had school, but like homework is an hour a day, and then you have a bunch of time, right? So
Hmm.
roughly speaking. Anyway, so RuneScape was definitely up there. I actually so I eased off of RuneScape and started playing League of Legends, which you see there behind me. There's I don't know if you see me currently, Nick, but you will if you rewatch the pod. Um, there's a poster behind me, and I have a plushie right there, and um, I'm sure I have other knickknacks here and there, but League of Legends is a game that to this day I still play a lot. Um, Not as much, but I still play like a game or two every few days. Um, it's just fun. It's a fun, competitive, um, top-down control a character and try to beat your opponent. Essentially, it's fun. So there's that. Those are like the two games that I've probably invested the most time in, honestly. Um, but there are so many other like really really good games that are easy to um honestly say forget because there's so many of them. And I feel really bad saying that, but for example, a game that I really enjoyed growing up as well is it's not really a specific game, but a series, which is Pokemon. Like everyone's played Pokemon,
Hmm.
and playing Pokemon for the first time or the second time or the 10th time is always a blast. Um, I was never like a metagaming player by any means. I'm a casual, but boy oh boy is that game fun casually. Um, at least the older generations. I don't know what it really is these days. I do own
Uh,
I do own Sword, but it doesn't hit the same. So what were you gonna say?
um, I was just gonna throw this in there while we're on the topic of Pokemon. First of all, you should finish Sword so I can have your honest opinions of it, because I genuinely want to know what your opinions are of the game in its entirety. Second of all, when you said you were like a casual player, it reminded me of this meme I saw a while ago, and um, it was like a screenshot of someone like trying to teach their Pokemon like shield dance or sword dance or something like that, right?
Sure.
And it's like me when I was 10. What is this? What is this move? And it like inspects it and it shows like the damage and then the hit rate and then like what it does. It's like, wait, it doesn't do damage? Get that shit out of here. And I played the exact same way when I was younger. I still play that way to this day.
Yeah, yeah. There
Like I
there's definitely room for the moves that the non-damaging moves in like metagaming, like actually
mhm,
competitive, but if you're just
yeah.
playing through the if you're just playing through the basic story, trying to get to the Elite Four, essentially, you don't really need too much. You just need to beat your opponent and move on, So,
Hmm.
but
Well, that's one of the reasons why the meme was so funny to me because Sword Dance. I don't know if you're familiar, but like in competitive Pokemon tournaments, Sword Dance is a move that is like I don't want to say highly sought after, but if you don't have a high dam or if you don't have a damage type move, Sword Dance is pretty often picked because it's just really really good. It yeah.
is Sword Dance the one that increases your speed as well as your attack, I think, something like that.
I I know for sure it increases your attack, but I think it might be special attack and attack. And and I don't think it does speed. I think it's just special attack and attack.
Okay.
But it's one of the ones that
Oh,
sharply raises it.
you know which one does do speed? I think it was agility. I think that's the one that does
Agi-
it.
agility
I
agility is evasiveness. No, that's double team. I don't actually remember what agility does. I never took it.
Okay, I'm pretty sure it's a speed. Anyway, it's all beyond the point. Pokemon is like, one of those games that I had played through many of them and I enjoyed them. My favorite is Generation 3. I love Torchic and that Pokemon line's my favorite for sure. Um, and then, gosh, what other games exist? Like I really, really enjoyed playing through Half-Life and Half-Life 2, even though by today's standards they're not the prettiest looking. They still have like a charm to them. Um, and they feel uh like mechanics, like moving with WASD and your mouse and everything. Um, they play in the way that games are still played today. They kind of normalized it back when you know computer controls were kind of the wild wild west. You never know what you're gonna get when you bought a game. They were all over the place. But now they're kind of standardized. They feel once you play one first person game, you pretty much know how to play the next one, at least for the basic movement. Um, so, uh, geez, I don't know. There's so many other games that could be
um,
could be good.
I want to throw this out there just because you mentioned it earlier, but of course there's the Soul series.
Yep, Souls is. I don't know if you're talking about yourself or if you're trying to remind me, but
More of just a poke in your direction
oh, okay,
because you
okay.
mentioned it before and you haven't mentioned it now. So
Souls is great. Dark Souls 1, 2, 3, Bloodborne. I have not played Demon Souls, so I actually need to play that. Sekiro. All of these games are just they're really hard. Beat your they kick your teeth in, but you know, if you're it's so dumb to say, once you get good, which the community likes to say, which really means, learning from your death, learning the move of your opponent. It's rewarding. It's as simple as that. Um, it's just something that other games don't do as well, or uh, don't try to. There's a lot of clones out there that I haven't tried, so maybe the Soul series isn't unique anymore, but they're definitely got a good feel. And there's so many other games that it's pretty easy to get lost. So it's kind of a moot point to just go through every game that's ever existed that you've played. But um, yeah, those are
yeah.
probably like the ones that stick into my mind the most easily. Um, so this next question actually kind of can overlap with some of the games that or one of the games I could have mentioned. The question being, what game do you think could do with a certain, like a small change or a big change? It can be a big change that could propel it from being fun for a little bit or just straight up not that fun into something that is like within your top games of all time. And the big one for me, that's really obvious for me is one that you showed me, Nick. That we played a lot together and don't anymore. Risk of Rain, Risk of Rain 2. That game
Okay.
is very, very fun, but
Hmm.
it once you've played it enough times, you kind of have a feel for all of the characters' powers. You have a feel for all of the maps. You have a feel for all of the items that exist to the point where going through runs are no longer fulfilling, I guess. And that's my biggest complaint. Um, and it's not something that's easily solvable when the game type is a roguelike. So for those of you who don't know, Risk of Rain 2 is a roguelike, and what a roguelike is you start fresh, level 1, if you will, and you go upon a usually some sort of pseudo randomly generated map, items, areas, characters, etc. Um, and try to upgrade yourself. And it's every time you go and you go on until you die or you get to the end, right? Um, and for gosh, I'm having a little brain fart. A train of thought has just been lost. This will definitely be edited out. Hi, future Blake. uh, so anyway, with Risk of Rain 2, it's very fun, but it's easy to have been exposed to everything after playing it a lot, and the mechanics are really fun as is. So I think the change that would need to happen is, once again, not easy. The change is
Mhm.
regularly adding new characters, new maps, new items, and basically doing it really consistently, very often. Because this is something that, um, for example, League of Legends, one of my all-time favorite games. If League of Legends never updated ever, it probably hit the same exact feel for me. But they changed the game legitimately every 2 weeks. That's like been their philosophy since day one. And I understand that Hoopu game. What is it? Hoopu Games, I think. They're the ones that make
Hapu.
Hapu Games. They make Risk of Rain 2. They're just two guys. They're just indie developers.
Uh,
But I know that,
Actually, they got a team size increase.
yeah, I'm aware. I was going to touch on that. So
Oh,
recently,
okay.
recently, yeah, they've been bought out by or collaborated with some other people to
I
increase
think it's Gearbox, actually.
Gearbox. Okay.
Sorry, I don't mean to keep cutting in, but
No, no,
just information that I think is relevant.
sure,
So,
sure, sure. Um, these hopefully the hope is these people come in and they create more content, they create expansions, and they come out regularly to keep the game fresh. It's also fun to kind of play with friends. So doing some more um, some more modes or collaboration required like content would be really fun because you can play as it is. You can play with friends or solo, just fine, and it scales, and that's perfectly good and okay as is. But it'd be equivalently cool, and I guess there is a small amount of this in one of the levels. You probably know what I'm talking about, Nick, but I'll just bring it up if you're not aware. Where I forget the name of the level, but it's the deserty place where you can have multiple people stand on the buttons, and then it opens up the hallway to this secret area where you can get some items and kill some creatures. Um, Stuff like that, where collaboration is for the most part required. Uh, that would be really cool to make it a more fun and interesting experience. So, and like I said, the mechanics are, in my opinion, pretty damn good. The
mhm.
gameplay feels good. It's just a matter of it becoming stale after playing it and not having updates. I don't fault the creators. The game's great. I just think more updates is good. So
Yeah.
that's probably like the most obvious example of a game that with a, I guess it's not a small change ultimately, it's a big change. Um that's the thing that comes to my mind immediately. Are there any that kind of stick out to you um
S-
other than that one since we
So,
just touched on it?
yeah. I actually, while you were discussing that, I went through my Steam library to see if I because I didn't have anything other than Destiny, because
Destiny.
everyone in the community has their own gripes with Destiny and how a system should be different or whatever. And I'm not gonna get into that because um, I don't want to be perfectly honest. So I actually picked out two games, and they both suffer from something from the same issue, but in different ways. Um, and I want to start off by saying, one, I have not spent a ton of time in. The other, I have spent probably too much time in, but I absolutely love it. And it's no fault of the game that it doesn't have this, but I think if it did have it, it could be like even better than it is.
Sure.
So the first game I'm referring to is Temtem. For those who don't know, Temtem is essentially Pokemon, but it is in MMO variety, where you are able to capture creatures, play with your friends, and take on gym leaders, all that sort of stuff. However, the game suffers from one thing, and I think it's kind of important to um, talk about is that there's no real single player option. If Temtem could be played offline and you could allow mods in a single player aspect and things like that, I think it could be fantastic. Let the modding community go crazy. Let them add new creatures. Let them add new items. Just let them go crazy. The game would sell like mad. People would be modding the crap out of that game. It'd be fantastic. Now, the other game suffers from pretty much the exact opposite problem. The other game I'm talking about is Slay the Spire. Slay the Spire, for those of you who don't know, is a roguelike game, but instead of you running around shooting stuff like in Risk of Rain or whatever, it is a card game. You slowly work your way up the spire. There's 3 floors to it, and based on the path you take, you can add cards to your deck that do damage or add buffs or whatever, and essentially just make you stronger and stronger as you progress towards getting to the final boss. And the game itself is fantastic. I still to this day play the game because the variety and just endless combinations that you can do are ridiculously fun to try and pull off.
Just a
However,
just a quick side note, just to piggyback
mhm,
off that. Literally today, doing some video editing, I was playing some Slay the Spire. Like
I saw
yeah, it's a good
that.
game. So sorry, go on.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Anybody who doesn't have Slay the Spire, look up some gameplay of it. Just take a look. Me and Blake have both streamed it. I'm pretty sure. So if you want to go watch a VOD, there's that. If you want to go watch Slay the Spire content on YouTube just to get like a quick idea of what the hell it is, that's fine. You can also just go look it up on Steam. Just take a look. You might be interested. You never know. But anyway, back on topic. Slay the Spire, I think, could be catapulted into another level if it were to add some sort of multiplayer aspect. Um, there's multiple ways that they could involve it, where it's, a race between you and your friend who can get to the top faster, um, where it's literally co-op, where, one hand you control and then the next hand your buddy controls. Um, a situation where one person is playing the main character and the other person is playing the monsters that they have to fight. Like there's so many options that they could implement into Slay the Spire to have multiplayer functionality that I think it's it's a missed opportunity. And if an update came out and it was like, hey, there's multiplayer, it would be I would be playing that far more than I already do.
Sure, sure. I mean, you could have like a kind of like in Pokemon, how they have the dual battles. You could have literally both of you together,
Mm-hmm.
and you fight against like a horde of monsters, and that's the fight, and the horde of monsters randomly, pick on who they want. Um,
Yeah, and that'd be fantastic because they already have combinations between character cards So you have those synergies already going in the game. So having two people play and just have the enemies scaled to two players would
Yeah,
be a great way of going about it. Or even if the players decided to do the same player, you have a synergy there already as well. So there's a ton of options. It'd just be a matter of like how they want to do it, what options you have for multiplayer stuff. But I think if there was a multiplayer functionality in any form, even if it was just like a race function like we've done in the past with like seeded runs, I think it'd be so much fun.
sure, sure. Um, yeah, I mean, I think I agree with you. Slay Spire is already really fun, so that kind of update would make it a lot of fun. I know in the past you and I would play like on the same seed, so in a way you can do
Hmm.
multiplayer, but it's slightly hacky. So um,
Yeah, and it's definitely not like official at all.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So,
for sure, for sure. Okay, well, that is it for the questions that I have, and it's been an hour and 30 minutes, and after some editing, I'm sure it'll stay at about an hour and 30 minutes. Uh, I guess it's probably a good time to call it good for today, for day one. Um,
yeah.
so while we're here, do you want to do any like final um shout outs or mentions or we haven't even explained what Insomnia's Clava is. Um so
True.
and that logo has just been sitting there the whole time. So I mean I'll kind of let you finish off and I'll I think people can already know who I am so if they're watching this on my YouTube channel. So
True. That's a fair point. Okay, well, I guess just to kind of wrap things up, again, I am Nick, aka TheSynfulOne. My logo and everything should be up somewhere here. You can find me on Twitch. Soon there will be social media links and all that sort of stuff from my Twitch channel, as well as like a YouTube link once all of that's set up, but primarily just on Twitch. Um, the other picture that should be to my side here is Insomnus Clava. We're basically just a bunch of guys who decided to stream. We have a bunch of people already streaming. A couple of us, I think, are already affiliate. So things are going pretty well so far. And we're just kind of trying to branch out into the YouTube space, trying to connect more, get the community a little more active. We also do have a Discord that hopefully Blake will link in the description.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
I'll link
so
the Discord and all your links as well. So for sure.
yeah, so we'll have that link down there if you feel like you would like to join the Discord. I'm gonna start pushing for more community activities like group Among Us or group just game nights with the community members, on stream, off stream, whatever. Doesn't really matter, just so we can get some sort of interaction with the community going. Maybe even hold some sort of competitions or anything like that.
We also
Just to get the community more involved.
Sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm sorry to interrupt. I was just gonna say we also have some bots in place that will notify you if you are within the Discord that person A, person B has gone live, or maybe they have a
Mhm.
YouTube video that just went up, and so forth. So it's a good place to kind of keep in sync with our collection of friends. So
Mhm.
cool.
Yeah, it's a good place to just keep all that sort of stuff put together. Also, with some of the stuff that we play with MMOs, Destiny, stuff like that. Excuse me. There are times when we want or need people to jump in. I personally love doing custom PvP stuff in Destiny. I'm not any good. All that I'm not really that good, but just putting on random guns and all that and just having fun with it is always something I'm down with. We also have like Stick Fight, the game, Among Us, League. a bunch of stuff that we can play with community members, whether you have to buy the game or if it's free to play. Just a bunch of stuff. Even for people who don't have PCs, there's Among Us and some other mobile games that um, we enjoy playing and stuff. So we have a bunch of stuff that I'm gonna start trying to get going. We haven't done anything like it yet. I'm just trying to think of stuff that would be good that people can actually participate in. So I'm gonna try and start to get stuff going with that. Um, but aside from that, you can find all the other people of Insomnis Clava in there. We're all pretty laid back and chill. It's very much just a, um, you know, spend time around us, get to know us, just be a part of the community. You don't even have to be all that social. If you just want to put us on in the background and chill out, that's fine too. Some people literally put us on just so they can go to sleep. Um, that's fine too. Whatever. Just come say hi. If you don't like it, you can always leave. You're not committed to anything. But
For sure.
I mean, if you're here, you're probably here from the Discord or you're probably here from a stream or something. So check us out. Just give us a follow, whatever, and just overall just have a good time. That's the whole thing. Just have a good time.
Sounds good. Sounds good. I mean, I'm a part of it, and everything he said, I agree with 100%. It's a good time. So yeah. So thanks for listening in and joining us tonight. Well, for us it's night, but thanks for watching, no matter what time it is a day for you. And yeah, I'm Blake, A's Orion, followed by Nick and the Sinful One, aka the Sinful One. Um, come come like our video and subscribe and comment and talk to us in person. Like actually.
Oh, it should be noted as well. Um, I don't think it's been said this entire time, but this is one of many. There's going to be a new series where, um, you know, uh, Blake here will be interviewing members of Insomnus Clava. So if you hate me and my face, understandable, but you
But
should
if
stick
you
around for the next time when he interviews someone else.
but if you hate me and you hate my face, then you get to skip out on all of the series.
Too fucking bad, I guess.
Very true, very true. Okay, well, sounds good. Thanks for watching, guys. Yeah, come say hi.